Hello everyone, welcome to my first impressions of Fallout 4. This would normally be where I put my midweek news videos, but I've decided that I'm going to do a Fallout 4 impressions video because I was looking at the news and I didn't really find anything interesting, and I figured, hey, why not put it in a first impressions? Because I was looking in the news and I came up across a article called Fallout 4, Good Game, Bad RPG by Andy Kelly on PC Gamer. And so I read it, and it got me thinking about like my opinion of the game, and so I figured I'd just put it out on the internet and see what people thought about it. So here we go. My first thought of the game is the enemies. The enemies are, I feel, significantly tougher in Fallout 4 than they are in 3 or New Vegas. That being said, I believe part of that reason, if you play most of the game in power armor, you probably don't think of it as significantly harder. Cause I think some of the reason is because it was balanced for, power armor. However, I don't wear power armor because it's not exactly my playstyle generally in these games. So I just decided not to wear it. I don't wear it on a normal basis. So the game is significantly harder, I think, for me than anyone else wearing power armor. That being said, you can only use power armor with enough fusion cores, so there isn't any reason, I mean, there's reason to not wear your power armor all the time. So at some point you might experience the difficulties of not wearing power armor. The other reason why the enemies, I think, are tougher in this one is because it seems like the mechanics of them have changed. The most distinct differences I can think of are the feral ghouls between Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, and between them and the ones in Fallout 4. Because in Fallout 4, the way they just move around and then charge at you and fall over and just flail around is significantly more terrifying, and also is a little bit more challenging to hit them with in combat, like, because you could try to shoot at a feral ghoul straight on in Fallout 3 or New Vegas, and you would have no problems because it'd be running straight at you. In Fallout 4, it's like you shoot at them, they might sidestep, you don't know exactly what their movement is going to be, which gives them a whole new level of interesting and difficult combat. So the combat in Fallout 4, I feel, is significantly better and is more challenging, therefore, than Fallout 3 or New Vegas. So I actually really like the combat in Fallout 4. Speaking of armor, the outer armor and the inner armor, I feel, was a good idea because it allows you a little bit more customization. You don't have to stick with just leather armor, or you don't have to stick with the best damage reduction armor, because you can put that on your outer layer, so on your different leather parts or the metal parts or whatever you're wearing on the outerwear. You can put anything underneath it. Well, I say anything. You're actually not able to put anything or everything under your leather outfits. That's one of my issues as well. Like, I kind of wish you could put more underneath that armor than you're able to. I know some of the reasons they came up with is like you can't wear a dress and have like knee pads. It wouldn't really add more protection, or like it doesn't really make much sense with the way you're wearing the dress model or whatever. But I kind of wish they would have made it so you could put on, like, have a bunch of different kinds of clothing that you could wear, then put leather pieces over it. I think that would have been a good way of customizing your character. I'm just kind of disappointed that you can't do it with a lot of things. Not everything. Like the tuxedo, I don't think makes much sense, because the tuxedo, you're just trying to look nice. But I think with more things, it would have been good. Speaking of customization, holy hell, are there a lot of guns and weapons in the game. Like, there's a lot. I mean, there were always a lot of weapons in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, but it was always more like you just upgraded to the new weapon, right? In Fallout 4, I feel like I'm keeping like all these weapons, and it's like more like what flavor of the week do I want now? Do I want to use a pipe revolver, or do I want to use a sawed-off shotgun that I've upgraded significantly? Or like, do I want to use this pipe wrench that I've put a spike on, you know? So there's a lot more options, I feel, in Fallout 4 as far as your weapons are concerned, which I think it reflects more about, like, how are you going to play Fallout 4. So it's less about, like, how are you going to build your skills, how are you going to play your character, and more about how am I going to be effective in combat? What kind of weapons am I going to use? That's the more mindset that you have with Fallout 4 than you did in Fallout 3 or New Vegas. That being said, that's another thing that I feel is different about Fallout 3 and New Vegas than it is with 4 is like I said, there is an article I read by Andy Kelly on PC Gamer about Fallout 4 being a good game and a bad RPG. And he goes into details about why he thinks it's a bad RPG. Many of the things I think he says are valid, but I don't think I share the same kind of ideas about what makes a good or bad RPG. A good RPG is just one that allows you to put yourself in the position of the protagonist and lets you play through him. So you don't have to be able to fully customize your character, I think. Now that is a problem. They did remove the skills in this game in Fallout 4, the same system they had in Fallout 3 and New Vegas. They got rid of those skills and just made so there's just specials and perks. And that's a good way of streamlining the customization. But it does, it was, when I first heard it, it was kind of distasteful in the same way that when we heard that they were going to not have any attributes in Skyrim, I felt the same way. It was kind of just like, ooh, I don't know how I'm going to feel like that. And then I got in the game, it was fine. I don't think that's a big deal about Fallout 4 and the lack of RPG-ness that it has. I think the bigger issue is just your mindset. How do you, when you go into the game, what are your goals for, what are you thinking about when you're playing the game, right? So in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, I was constantly thinking about how am I going to play my character? And what I mean by how am I going to play, I mean, like, what kind of, like, am I going to be lawful in situations? Am I going to be just for myself? Am I going to try to side with the NCR because I think that they're justified? Do I want to just join and work for the slavers in for Caesar's Legion? Do I want to infect or purify all of the DC area and get rid of all the supermutants and ghouls? Like, those kinds of decisions were very prominent in Fallout 3. Now, I will say this: I haven't beaten the game. I've played 60 hours of Fallout 4, but I haven't beaten the game. I haven't even gotten close because I've been spending most of my time exploring. But that's just the thing that I've noticed so far in Fallout 4 is I've spent significantly less time thinking about how I'm going to play my character and more time thinking about what weapons I'm going to use, where I'm going to explore, what quests, what, like, missions am I going to do for people. Like, I spend more time thinking about very tangible things as opposed to, like, how I actually want to put myself forth into this game. And I think that is where you see the difference between a good RPG and, I wouldn't say a bad RPG, but maybe not an RPG at all. Maybe just something that has RPG elements where you can customize your armor and you can, pick perks. Like, that's the extent of the RPG ness, if you want to use that term, to Fallout 4. Fallout 4, I think, is more of an open world game where you just kind of go out, you kind of go explore, you collect junk, because junk is king in this game. The amount of, like, the fact that you can customize all your weapons with mods, you can customize all your armor with mods, like, you could just add all these things to your character to customize the, combat build of your character, essentially. It is very significant, I think, to how people will play this game. So, like I said, I spent a lot of time exploring, going, collecting junk, bringing it back to the settlement that I'm usually putting all my stuff in, and then customizing everything, building up the settlements. It's an open world game. You're just going out, exploring the world, experiencing the world, not so much experiencing, like, what you would be like in this world, which I think is the difference there. The environment is nice. It's really fun. I think really fun to explore in this game. than it was in Fallout 3 and New Vegas. I did not just go to quest, like, whenever I found markers on the compass that I hadn't explored yet in Fallout 3 or New Vegas, I didn't necessarily go out and just go check them out. That's not exactly what I did in 3 or New Vegas. That's what I do a lot in the Elder Scrolls games, but it's not what I did in Fallout. For whatever reason. They're very similar games. I don't know why that was the case, but that's just how it was. In Fallout 4, I do that a lot more because I never know what's going to be in there. I'm more concerned about what I might find in those areas than I am concerned about finishing those quests and trying to save, like, whatever. Save these people from dying from bandits, as an example. The other thing about this game is the story. Now, the story, I actually think is rather interesting. I know a lot of people don't really like the quests. They think they're boring. They just go off and kill people. And, I would say that's arguably what you did in New Vegas and Fallout 3. There are some quests that maybe in 3 and New Vegas where you didn't have to do any killing or go off and just kill these people that are in this area. And one that comes to mind is the one in Moresty Station with Vincent and his followers in Fallout 3. That one comes to mind where you just have to go to them, then you can do it all diplomatically from there. So I think that's what people were expecting, and they didn't feel like they got that. But I'm going to say that I haven't gotten far enough into the game to where I could say justifiably that that's a problem. Spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't played any Fallout 4, just in case you're wanting to play it, you don't want to have any spoilers. I would suggest turning off the video and coming back when you have played some, just to like the beginning story, or right when you get out into the wasteland. So just so you all know, this is all spoilers from here on out, as far as like the story is concerned, so I would turn it off if you don't want to be spoiled. The story for Fallout 4 and Fallout 3 are reversed, sort of. So in Fallout 3, the story was you are the son of a scientist or a medical doctor, and he goes off and leaves the vault, leaves you behind, and you have to go out into the wasteland, something that you have been told is not possible, and go find your father. Once you do, there's some more stuff about finding the Gek and restoring the water supply and cleaning the water and all that other stuff, and you do all the quest line. Your father dies during your adventure, and you save the wasteland. That's the story of Fallout 3. In Fallout 4, the story is you are a father or a mother who, with your spouse and your child, go into a vault right before the bombs fall, get cryogenically frozen, then when you wake up, your spouse is murdered and your child is kidnapped, and you have to go out of the vault to go find your son. So this is a very similar story to Fallout 3, but the roles are reversed. Now you are the parent as opposed to the child, looking for your child as opposed to the parent. But also, it's the same idea where you are the fish out of water. You do not know anything about this world you are going into. And it's a very common story, very common plot mechanic. It's a very common plot device to just have the fish out of water story. So I think that's what they were going for. It's very interesting, I think. I'm really compelled to see what happens with the role reversal and see how much of that happens. Now, I'd be very surprised to see if the child dies. I don't think that's going to be where they go with it. But I'd be more impressed to see, I have my own theories about this, where because you wake up and you see your child be kidnapped and your spouse get killed, and you, after that happens, you go into another sleep. It looks like you fall back to sleep. You don't have any idea when you woke up. it almost seems like you could have slept for, like, because you're still in the cryogenic chamber. There's no reason why it couldn't have been frozen afterwards. You just slept for like another 5 years or 10 years, and your child's like a teenager now. Wouldn't that be interesting? I would be so excited to see that, actually, if that was the case. I don't know if that will be the case, but I'd be excited to see. So, and so that concludes the Fallout 4 first impressions video. I hope you enjoyed the episode. This is my first impression. This was my very first impressions video. I might do more in the future, but I'm probably going to try to stick to news stories on Wednesdays. Again, I'll keep on trying to do more of that. Again, I said that I didn't really find anything very interesting, but I'm hoping to keep some stuff. I found like one story that was interesting, but I didn't feel like it was enough to actually talk about. So I'll keep that in the back burner, but for now, I'll just end the episode here. So if you enjoyed the episode, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all next time.